Okay, I assume you told that Banu will join in some time because your voice was breaking, but we can get started. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen in that case. So today we'll cover two main topics. The first one is lenses, and the next one is FX30 camera body settings, the different settings that we have in FX30. So the video that I shared, right, it covers almost everything, and I also referred that video only. Let me show that to you. This one. So Jason's channel. So this guy covered it all. I tried to summarize whatever I can from this, and I added few more things and I removed few things. I'll be covering briefly because it's just camera settings, right? So it might be boring at a point. So I'll try to keep it crisp. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, so first we'll see what we covered in last session, a quick brief, and then we'll get to the new session. So in last session, we covered different types of focus techniques, shallow, deep, rack, soft, etc. And we also covered different focus types that we have: autofocus, manual focus, continuous focus types, autofocus types, and different types of manual focus, etc. And we also covered different video shooting modes that are available in FX30, shutter priority, program, manual, etc., etc. And what mode would we be using? We will use a movie mode that is specialized for video shooting in FX30. Okay, so that's what we covered in the last session. So today we'll discuss. So in this session we'll discuss two topics, as I told, lenses and overview of our camera FX30. So what is a lens? So you can consider lens as your eyes. So your body is camera body. Your eyes are the lenses of camera. So it's just a tube, it looks, I mean, I am sure you know what a lens is. Lens, so inside your, so this is how your lens would be, right? So whatever is present in front of your camera. So this is camera body, and this is the lens, something of this sort. Yeah, you can see it here, right? These are different type. This is how lenses look like. Different lenses have different specifications, and we, depending on our use case, we need to choose which lens is good for us. And you need to buy each of these lenses individually or separately. It doesn't come with the camera. So this is how the a lens looks inside. I mean, the inside of lens looks somewhat like this. So you have different types of glass elements that are present. So it takes light from your external environment, and it refracts and reflects it in few ways to get the desired output. And how does it refract and reflect depends on the settings that you have configured in your camera and few of the parameters that you have set on your lens. So yeah, so what happens if you don't have a lens? If you don't have a lens, your camera closes its eyes. It cannot take photos, it cannot take videos, it cannot do anything without a lens. So the only reason we are buying a camera is to shoot something, and it cannot shoot without a lens. So a lens, it has two main jobs. The first one is focusing light, and the second one is control the view. I'll tell you what these both are. So if you look at a lens, take a look at this. So this is your body, which is at the back, and you have your lens, which is in the front. So light enters into your camera through this lens, through the front, right? So all this light is being collected by your lens, and it pushes all the light into your camera body. So it's actually focusing light for you. Okay, so that's the first functionality. It focuses the light for you. And the second functionality is it decides the view of the field. For example, you want to take a zoomed shot, or you want to take completely wide shot, zoomed out, very wide shot, or you want to take a mid shot. So, or a close-up shot. There are different types of shots again, viewpoint shot, etc. Now, what does this lens do is that it is the one that helps you take all these shots by changing its focal length. So you can consider focal as a zoom. Okay, changing focal means changing zoom. So the two features, two important works done by lens is focusing light and setting your zoom. So focus light, it collects light and focuses it on camera sensor to create sharp images. And the second one is control the view, that is how wide or how zoomed in you want it to be. And okay, that's fine. Now, what do we control in a zoom, in a lens, right? So there are few rings. Let me show you that. Rings in camera lenses. Let's look at this. So aperture. I want to show you, something. This looks good. Uh, so look at this one. Let me zoom in a bit. Okay. So this is how it's a very good lens, whatever we're seeing here, because it has all the rings. And can I annotate? Okay. So here, if you look to the right side, so it says lens mount indicator. So in this side, so this is the side which goes into the camera. You mount this here. Canon is written, right? So this part of the lens would go into the camera. And then you have IS, image stabilizer. It's a on and off switch that you have. So if you on it, your videos will look very stable. Let's say you're shooting with your hand, bare hand, without any camera stand or something. And of course, your images would look shaky, right? Images or videos. So if you enable this, it will stabilize your video or image. Of course, video is nothing but compilation of images, right? And then you have a switch, autofocus, manual focus switch. I covered all these in the last session, like what's a autofocus and what's a manual focus. So usually in our use case, we'll go with autofocus only. So in case you do not want autofocus, you can switch it to manual focus with that button, and you'll be able to focus, manually by pulling the focus ring. So the very first ring that you're seeing here is a focus ring. So it will try to focus things in and out. Okay, so that's what a focus ring does. This will work only in manual focus or different modes of manual focus. In autofocus, no matter how much you rotate this ring, it won't work. And then you have a zoom ring. So the zoom ring is nothing but the ring which is used to control your what is that called? Control your focal, right? If you rotate it more, you'll see zoom setting. If you rotate it out, you'll see zoomed out setting. That's how it works. And yeah, few lens also have aperture control. So look at this. So this lens has a focus ring. It has an aperture ring. Now, focus ring is of course used to zoom in and zoom out. Aperture ring, right? This helps you set the aperture also. Like usually aperture we set it in the camera, right? At least our lens wants us to set it digitally in the camera, but you can use the this ring also to set it. So we have everything here. Focus switch, focus ring, and focal length selected. Zoom ring. We don't have aperture ring here, I guess. So yeah, those are the three rings that you have physically. I mean, there is no rule that one lens should have all of them. It depends on the lens and the company, etc. So focus ring, it lets you tune the focus to attain sharpness of the image. This works only in manual focus mode. Then you have zoom ring. Zoom ring lets you zoom in and zoom out. Aperture ring lets you control how much light should enter into your camera. Of course, there are 100 other settings which affect how much light should enter into the camera. The main advantage is if you have more aperture, you'll get this natural blurry effect of the background. So these three rings are part of a lens. Few lens have few rings and few don't. So it depends on the lens. Is it till clear till here?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, great. Now we can look at types of lenses. There are only two types of lenses. One is zoom lens, other is prime lens. So what is a zoom lens? It has a variable focal, which means, for example, 24 to 70 mm. So this is a range of a given lens. So it lets you zoom in and zoom out within this range. So if your lens can zoom, it's zoom lens. If your lens cannot zoom, it's prime lens. So prime lens has fixed focal length. You cannot zoom in or zoom out. Now, what are the advantages of each of them when to use one compared to the other? So prime lenses give you definitely give you good quality because the prime lenses comes in lower cost and they give you a better aperture usually. Now there are very costly prime lenses as well, but zoom, whereas a zoom lens, right? If you want to buy a zoom lens, you have to spend a lot of money to get a better aperture lens. So zoom lens offer better convenience, and of course it also offers flexibility. If you want to take a mid shot, you can take it. You want to take a zoom shot, you can take it. But if you take a prime lens, you should always you should buy it either for you know a specific use case, always zoom lens, like always close shot or a mid shot or long shot like that. So these are two types of lenses, zoom and prime. Which lens are we using? We are using the zoom lens. So it's better for us. And yeah, so there are two key property. I mean, there are few key properties for our lenses. One would be the focal length, the other would be aperture, and then the mount type. These are properties actually. So focal length, it lets you decide, if you can zoom in or, I mean, in case of zoom lens, this would be a variable focal. In case of prime, it would be a constant fixed focal. And then you have aperture. Aperture is something that comes within the lens. Aperture is not something that is, it's managed by the camera, but it's not a feature of the camera. It's always feature of your lens because aperture is nothing but the opening of the iris of the lens. If your iris can open more, it has more aperture. So definitely it's something which has to do with the lens. And then mount type, we have almost nothing to do with mount type when we're trying to shoot. Mount type is what decides what should be the length of the radius or length or pins of the lens that fits the camera. So, for example, so you look at this image. So this is on left side you are seeing an EF mount, on right side you are seeing RF mount. So the size may be same, both are 54 mm, but the number of pins that you see, 8 pins, some has 12 pins, etc. So one type of mount will, let's say you have RF or EF mount. So only these mount specific lens will fit into the camera. So these mounts should match your camera and your lens. So that's the bottom line. So our the lens that we are using, right? It has an E-mount lens. So yeah, so that's one of the properties of the lens. And then we'll speak about focal length that we have. Focal length is of course it's the most important property. It lets you control the magnification and angle of view, of course. So take a look at the first image that we have, right? So from 11 mm, so this lens that we are seeing, it's a 28 mm to 135 mm lens. So very good lens. So from 11 mm till 35 mm, it's a wide angle. So you'll get a very, how do I tell? So wide means you'll get a lot of area. A lot of area will fit inside your inside your frame. And mid-range, these are close-ups. So this is our use case actually. You want to fix your speaker within a mid-range frame without completely zooming in or zooming out. So it's the mid-range aspect. And then from 70 till 500 or even more, right? So those are telephoto. That is, if you want to shoot objects which are very far away from you, right? Then you will choose telephoto lens. Now you just look at the bottom diagram. So the very first line that you're seeing, right, for 17 mm, look at the angle. The angle is very, very high, which means lot of frame will be in view. And then you have 24 mm. It has a bit reduced angle. 50 mm even more reduced. Coming to 200 mm, the angle has reduced significantly. So this 200 mm is called a telephoto lens. So what happens when you shoot in 200 mm is that it will zoom very long distances, like wildlife photography, etc. Right? They'll zoom in a lot. And if you don't want that, you want to completely do zoom out. For example, if you're shooting mountains or landscapes, then you can go ahead with 17. Mid range, you can take something between 35 and 70. Okay, now we'll see the lens that we are using. We are using this lens, Sony G18 105, yeah, G18 105 mm f/4 OSS. So I'll tell you, I'll like try to explain the features of our lens. So Sony, of course, is the company of our camera. G is the gold line series that is offered by Sony. It's a very good, lens series that we have, the G series, and then 18105. So this is the focal length that we have. So it's very good. You can get good zoomed in shots. You can get zoomed out shots, mid range shots. It's like an all rounder 18105. And we have an f/4. So the aperture is 4. That is, you would not get excellent. You will not get excellent depth of field, but it is very decent. And OSS, optical steady shot. That is, it gives you better stabilization when you're trying to shoot videos. Hmm. So that's what I wrote here. Now whatever I explained is written here. And then we'll get to some technical details about the apertures. Before that, any doubt till here?
No.
Okay, great. And the standard f-stop sequence. So I'll tell you what an f-stop is. I'm sure you remember it. So in our first session, we discussed about aperture, right? So here, these are the different focals that we have: f16, 11, 8, f/2, f/1.4, etc. So aperture is measured in f-stops. If the number is low, it means that the diameter is high. The diameter is more, which means that it gives you better depth of field. Again, what's depth of field? Look at f/1.4. It gives you that natural blurry effect. F16, it doesn't give you that. So this is the standard f-stop sequence. So it starts with need not start with f/1. There are lenses which have f by 0.7, f by 9.5. Sorry, f 0.95, f 0.33 is also available. But we need not. We would not buy such lenses. So this is the usual f-stop sequence: f1, 1.42, 2.8, 4, 5.8, 8, 11, 16, 22, etc. It goes on. So now, what does this chain mean to us, right? So this f-stop chain makes us understand how the aperture affects the light that enters into our camera. Ultimately, it also tells us what should be the f value of the aperture, right? Now, let us take an example. I mean, as you move from left to right, the f-stop number is increasing, right? From 1.4, it's going to 22. So as the number is increasing, the aperture reduces. So if the aperture is reducing, which means the area of the iris that's open reduces. So f1 will give you very bright images and it gives you a good depth of field. F12 will give you darker images and it almost doesn't give you any depth of field. So now let us take example of f/2. Okay. Let us consider only this f-stop and let's try to understand from here like what happens when we change the f-stop. So let's take f/2 as a reference. F/2 is the base aperture. So from f/2 to f/2.8, the aperture is halved. Okay, the number is not halved, but if you change the value from 2 to 2.8, the area becomes half. So only half of the light that entered in f/2 will enter in f2.8. Okay. Now take f2.8 to f4. Again, the area will be halved. That is, only one-fourth of the light will enter. Now one-fourth of the light compared to f.2. Here it halved again. So compared to f by 2, f by 4 has only one-fourth of the light that enters into the camera. And of course, so is the case with f.1 by f 5.8, 5.6. So 1/8 of the light that could potentially enter in f by 2 would only enter in f6. So that's all about how the areas change and how light changes. Okay. Now let's take this understand. Let's make the understanding even better. I'll explain how by just 0.8 increase of f-stop is halving the value, and here changing it to like 1.6 is halving the area again, and 1.2, right? So we'll try to understand how that works. For example, let us consider a 50 focal. Okay, so you remember the formula, right? D is equal to focal length by f number. So let's take, so the focal length is fixed 50 mm. Let's say that we have decided to shoot at 50 length. So let's take two use cases, f2 and f2.8, and the diameter is 25 and 17.9. So I'll tell you how we came here. So just give me 1 minute. I'll be back. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Yeah. So yeah, diameter, right? So so this D would be diameter would be focal length by f number. So what is the focal length? We decided that it would be 50, right? So 50 by f stop. So 50 by 2 would be 25. And of course, this is a new formula. I didn't cover it till now. So for an f2.8, the focal length here is 50. So 50 by 2.8, 17.9. So again, divide the diameter by 2, you will get the radius, 12.5 and 8.92. Now calculate the area. So you can consider this aperture as a circle, and if you calculate the area of circle, pi r square. So pi into this radius squared, it's 490. And here the area is 252. So 490 by 2 is 0.5. I mean 252 by 490 is 0.5. So half the light would enter into this 490. So in this way, if you calculate for all the others also, you will come to know. So the area, it's not the just the f number, it's actually the diameter. The focal length by f number, you get the diameter, and that diameter changes critically. And you are squaring it up and then multiplying it with pi, right? So approximately the area is halving every time. Okay, you can. So let's take an example of this: f2, f4, f8. So again, if you calculate the aperture opening or the diameter or the iris opening, everything is one and the same. So if you calculate it, 50 by 2, 2 is the aperture, 50 is focal, you get 25. For 4, you get 12.5. For 8, you get 6.25. Now let's consider this as a base light. Okay, you get a lot of light here, slightly overexposed, but it gives you a very good depth of field. And here, the area, so you're moving from f2 to f4. This is f2. This is f4, right? So you will get only quarter, one-fourth as much as light. So from if you go to f8, f2 to f8, you get 1/16th light of as much as you would get in f by 2 and f by 8. So a relative comparison here would be f2 would give you a lot of light, f by 4 would give you a decent exposure under given focal length, of course, and f8 would make the scene dark, but the first one would give you good depth of field. Second one would be an average depth of field. Third one would be almost no depth of field. Okay, so that's it regarding the lenses that I wanted to cover. These are the important things that you should understand when we're dealing with lenses. So, any doubt here?
I feel I'm good, but I'm not understanding them in depth, but superficially I'm understanding them.
Okay, so concept is quite simple actually. You can just remove. I mean, you need not remember
Yeah.
also. So the concept is, Swatika, are you able to understand this? Okay, I'm not sure if she's here.
Mm.
So I mean, you can just have a look at this, right? So f2 gives you more lighting. F by
Yeah.
22 gives you less lighting. F by 2 will give you good depth of field. That is, it gives you good background, blurry, natural cinematic effect. F22 will not give it actually.
Once can we see the image of the aperture once? If aperture and that F openings are there, no?
This one.
Yeah, image. So
Uh,
now if we see F 1.4 is having wide up opening or wide aperture, here
uh,
we'll get a maximum depth of field, right?
exactly.
But as it closes, the amount of light that enters also reduces, the depth of field also reduces.
Correct. That's correct.
And
Uh,
F4 is in the medium range, so the brightness is also optimum, not too high, not too low.
yeah, that's correct.
Uh,
And you can, remember it in this way also. Let's say you consider this as your eye. You open
mm,
your eye completely. You put
mm,
one object in front of you. You put another object that is behind this object. So if you look at the object that is in front of you, automatically the whatever is behind you will get blurred out by your eye,
mm.
right? If
Yes,
you
yes,
focus on
yes.
the object that's behind the first
Yeah,
object, automatically this will get
yes,
blurred because you
yes,
open your eye. When you open your eye, this blurry thing will automatically come into picture.
yes.
But now close your eyes actually. If you close your eyes, of course, the brightness itself wouldn't be there, and there is no point of depth of field only. There won't be any depth when you close your eyes. So you can
Mm,
consider it like that. You open it
yes,
wide, it means you have better natural bokeh effect. So
mm.
bokeh effect is nothing but blurry effect.
Yes, 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 I got it.
Okay. So if nothing else, we can move on with the next topic, FX30 body settings.
So regarding zooming in our we are having our like camera type is may I know
It-
the
it's
mo-
it's the zoom lens. This is the
okay,
name of our lens.
okay, got it.
Also, it's
So
also called
here
as
the lens is fixed right for our this thing.
what? Our
Like for
no,
our camera, the lens will be fixed only, right?
yeah, that is true, of course. During
Mm.
the shooting, it will definitely be fixed like any other. The thing is, we need to decide what is the optimal zoom. So, since
Okay.
our studio is small,
Mm.
maybe we can tune in a bit. We can experiment. Okay, slightly zoom in, slightly zoom out. See if the frame is good. It depends on the personality, right? If someone huge is
Yeah.
sitting, you might have to zoom out a bit, like that.
Mm. Okay.
But the range, it's definitely mid-range only.
Mm.
So you can slightly adjust zoom here and there to get whatever frame you want.
Yes, got it.
Anything else here?
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other doubt? If not, we'll move with the FX30.
No, no doubt.
Oh, okay, great. So let's get to our FX30 camera. I'll
So
show
we
you
are
how it looks.
having this FX30 camera only, and that like right now that we
Lens.
have bought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right.
Okay.
This is FX30. This is our camera.
Okay. Okay.
So this lens that is there, right? So if you look at the
Yeah.
lens, this is not the lens that we are using. And
Mm.
here, I mean, this link that we are seeing, right? This lens is
Uh,
only for illustrative purpose. You won't give a lens with the camera. You have to buy it
okay.
separately.
Okay.
Huh. So this is the body. Here, this is how the body would look like. FX30 body.
Okay.
Huh. This
Mm.
is how this side would look like. You have the
Mm.
different vents. One for
Mm.
HDMI, one for input jack, output jack,
Yes.
USB-C type charging. So yeah, I just wanted to show you a camera, and now we'll look at what is that? Uh, Different settings. So of course, FX30 has too many settings. Now I'll just discuss few of them which are needed for us. So you can click the menu button. I'll show you FX30. If I don't show, you won't understand. FX30 menu, right? Mhm. Let's consider this. So here you have, so this button that you're seeing, it is for oning and offing. So here you're
Mm.
seeing one, right? One means on, zero means off. So you should turn this to the left, which means the camera will on then. So here, this display that you're seeing, it is, you can rotate the display. You can pull it out, and rotate it, etc. I'll see if there are any videos for that. Images, fine. So here you have mode. Mode is the video shooting mode or the photography mode. You want aperture priority, shutter priority, or manual mode or movie mode, intelligent mode, auto mode, program mode, etc., etc. So you can control the mode
Mm.
here by mode button.
Mm.
And then you have your menu button. So this menu button brings up all these different kind of settings here that you are seeing. So this is the main section. Here you will have subsections. And when you click on it, you will see even more further classified sections, something like this. So here he chose the second
Yeah.
setting, and then this is the second level. He chose the first one, and then this one. So
Mm.
like that. So this is how the buttons would be in FX30. So you can go to your
Okay.
main one. So you can click on main one. Sometimes you would see only one main instead of main one, main two. But in few modes, you will see both of them. So you can go to main one. The first setting that you might want to adjust is the image quality settings. So there are different settings. This is specific to images if you take photography. So you can choose JPEG quality. If you choose the raw quality, what happens is that it will give you very flat images. It has much dynamic
Mm.
range, but it will make them look somewhat black and white. But it gives you a huge dynamic range. So you have to edit it, in some softwares or programs like Lightroom, etc., etc. So
Ah,
if
yes, I
there is
have seen raw. Yeah.
you have seen, right? That's great. So you know
Oh.
how it looks like. So you have to
Mm.
tweak that gamma curve to get the lighting and all,
Yes,
colors
yes,
and all.
yes. Mm.
Yeah. So the JPEG quality and the JPEG image size. So JPEG quality you can set it at maximum possible, and the image size. These both are you can set the maximum quality, and you can choose a image size also. You can choose the maximum possible settings that are there. This is for images. We won't be using any of these because primarily we are shooting videos, right? So
Mm.
at the bottom, right, bottom left corner, you will see this option, record media settings. If you click that, all these settings will come up. So image recording media, of course, we covered it earlier. And then video recording media. It shows you two slots, slot one, slot two. If you select slot one, your recording will happen only in slot one. If you choose slot two, it will happen only in slot two. For example, you have only one memory card. So of course, our camera will come with two SD cards. It has two memory card slots. So if you put your camera, if you put your memory card in second slot, you should second slot two. If you put it in slot one, select slot one. Now, now you can maybe say, now let's say you have two memory cards, you have put it in both of them, but still you might want to specifically choose which slot, because let's say there may be different use cases. If you're shooting in 4K, you may want to record that in slot two. If you are shooting in normal HD, you may want to record it in just slot one memory card. So it depends on your use case. You can choose whichever you want. And there are different types of SD cards also, memory cards. Let me show you that. SD cards for camera. Hmm. So
Yeah, yeah. I have seen this one also. I have seen. Got it.
yeah, but you don't know about CF Express, right? So I mean, these are the normal SD cards, right? Express Pro,
Mm.
etc. So there are few cameras, I mean, few SD cards which are designed for very high performance, and those are called CF Express SD cards. See, so we are using a CF Express, so we are using this one, the
Mm.
Lexer, but we are not using 160, we are using 320 GB. So 320
Okay.
GB Lexer CF Express Silver Line. We are choosing this one actually.
Mm.
So this has a very good amount of storage. The read write speed is high. The only difference between normal SD cards and CF Express is the read write is high, 800 Mbps. So the ones that are professionals who came, right, they are using a lower one actually. They are using the normal cards. I think they support up to 200 Mbps. But the cards that now we are using, right, they support 800 Mbps. And of course, CF Express are very costly. So so we both the SD cards that we have are CF Express only, and then we have
Mm.
simult recording. So this setting is usually used when you are doing photography. So if you take a photo, right, if you choose simultaneous recording, it will store the image in both the SD cards. Even when you're shooting a video, right? If it's going to be a short video, let's say 10 minutes
Mm.
video, you can choose simultaneous recording so that the same file will be stored in both the cards, so that it will be a redundant source. And then you have short recording. Short recording, it's a bit advanced feature. So you can specifically, choose few type of videos to go into one card and few type of videos to go to other card. Now, if you are doing some proxy videos or if you are shooting images, clicking images, you can choose them to go to slot two. And the main videos that you're taking in 4K, you can choose them to come into the slot one. And you have auto switch media. So this you can, it's an on or off button. You can select it if you want to choose a relay recording feature. So what is this is that, let's say
Just
you
a minute. A proxy video in the sense what, like what's the difference between the main and proxy?
the main 4K video would have your best cinematic settings. And let's say that you want to do some editing work, but you
Mm.
cannot afford to do the editing in 4K. It's very hard, resource intensive. Let's say
Mm.
you just want to listen to the audio. Okay, so this proxy video will shoot the same video in very low settings. It comes in less storage, shoots at low resolution video.
Okay.
Maybe yeah, you can choose the proxy video settings also. Usually we put this at 480p like that, with lower settings. Like it's
Okay.
it's not a it's not exactly backup, because backup video has to be exactly the same as the first one. So that you will
Mm.
get in the simultaneous recording. But proxy video is wherein you will get the low resolution version of your main video.
Okay.
Mm. And then you have auto switch media relay recording. So if card one fills up, automatically it will continue the recording in card two. This
Mm.
is a very good feature. We will always use this, because if we are shooting long, right, long hours,
Mm.
so we should choose relay recording only. Switch
Yes.
media is the feature that we should
Okay.
use. And then from here on, it's the different modes that we have, while taking photos or videos. We'll discuss now. The very first mode is a drive mode. Drive mode. It tells how to uh, capture the photos, and it also tells you how fast to capture the photos. Of course, this is not for videos, so I'll keep it very brief. Single shooting, if you press the shutter, if you press the button once, shutter button, it'll
Mm.
focus and then it'll click the photo. Continuous shooting, here what you do is that you just hold the button, and let's say if you hold it for 5 seconds, it'll continuously keep hitting images. You'll keep getting that uh, kitch sound. So it'll continuously keep shooting. And then you have self timer. So it's like timer, as in our phone. 2 seconds, it'll give you one, two, and then it'll take an image. Again, you have bracket shooting. Bracket shooting is that bracket shooting, it lets you take continuous shots with the different settings of exposure, white balance, etc. And it will do it automatically. It will decide, it will try to change these exposure, white balance, etc. by itself, and it will give you different shades of same image in bracket shooting. Then you have silent shooting. What this will do is that it has an electronic shutter. So if you click an image, it gives you that kitchik sound, right? If you choose silent shooting, it won't give you that mechanical sound. Just give me 1 minute. I'm getting a call.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm back. Hmm. So those are different drive modes for photography. And coming to focus, of course, I covered all these in previous session, like autofocus, types of autofocus and types of manual focus. So I'll skip it. And then we have peaking level. So peaking level is a feature which should be used only when we have manual focus enabled. We will never use manual focus, so we will also never use this peaking level. But I'll tell you what this peaking level is. It helps you decide what should be the level of manual focus. So in manual focus, it's really hard to get the perfect focus. So what I'll show you an image so that you understand peaking level. Peaking level in FX30. Peaking display. Look at this. So what it will do is that wherever there are sharp edges, it will highlight them for you in the display. Of course, the actual photo that you take will not have any of these sharp edges highlighted, but your display will have this so that it will tell you, if this is the right amount of focus. As you keep changing your focus, these highlights would also be changing. So if you want a very sharp image, then if you are able to get these sharp lines, then you can say that, okay, I have, sharp image. Sometimes you may have to make it slightly blurry, and in that time your picking level would be low. If that is, you will not have these sharp outliners, then it means that, okay, my image is not so sharp. It is, it has the edges are softened. It depends on your use case what you want to do. So accordingly you can uh, decide your focus. So this just helps you. So if you enable peaking display, it highlights your edges. That's it.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, so low peaking level, subtle edge highlighting, mid is medium visibility, high is very bright and obvious edges. So yeah, you can keep this which in however way you want. We usually keep it to mid to understand it properly. In the regular shooting, we keep it in mid, but that being told, this will work only if you choose manual focus. But we will never use manual focus. We always choose autofocus only. And then we have steady shot. So, there is this IBIS, Sony's inbuilt in-body image stabilization system. So, I know I showed you this right initially when I was talking about lenses. So, if you are trying to shoot handheld video to get, some creative look, then if you are, shaking your camera more, then it will try to stabilize your video. So if you are trying, I mean, this is of course when you do not choose a tripod stand. If you are choosing tripod, you should not enable this. It will make the video or image look floating or some jittery motion. It won't look neat actually. It doesn't look good when you choose IBIS using a tripod. Only when you are shooting with hand, you should enable the steady shot. And of course, there are two options: active off. If you put it as off, it disables the stabilization, and if you make it active, it will try to stabilize a lot. And then we have a metering mode, and then you have focus area. So the settings might look similar between metering mode and focus area. The setting names would be same, the functionality is completely different. First we'll talk about metering modes. So metering mode decides the brightness. So this decides how the camera decides brightness for exposure. So, and below are the different modes. So this controls how the camera should decide the brightness. Now, if you choose the metering mode as multi, right, it will consider the whole frame for brightness. That is, if you're changing brightness, it will change brightness of the entire frame. Okay, so that is multi. Then you have center. So it prioritizes the center area. Usually, our subject would also be in the center. So, so I chose this one, center. We can also choose spot. It doesn't matter. Both are almost the same. So not same, they are different, but ideally they serve the same purpose because our subject is always at the center. So center, what happens is that this brightness is focused only on the center. If you change the brightness, it will impact only the center. And you have spot. Spot is that it will give you, let me show you spot. It's a box actually. Spot focus in camera. So look at so so here, if you look at this image, right, you're seeing these boxes. So this box is a spot. You can move it here and there, left, right, top, down, in whichever angle you want, and you can specifically choose this spot in the area or in the environment. So that's a spot. So you can specifically target a spot. You have entire screen average. Average is the brightness of the whole screen. It's stable. No matter if you even if you do changes in your lighting, if as long as it's a subtle change, it won't get reflected in the whole brightness. So this multi and entire screen average, they are usually used in landscape shootings if you are shooting some sceneries, etc. If you have your subject speaking at a fixed position, usually we choose center, and we can also choose spot if your subject is present at the corner of your frame. Now there is one limitation of the metering mode. So FX30's metering goes off when there are extreme brightness conditions. For example, if you're choosing let's say there is snow, right? Snowy environments, your metering system doesn't work. It doesn't know what to do. Or if you're choosing very dark area, then also it doesn't know what to do. So at that time, if you have this feature of exposure compensation. So whatever is done by metering mode, it decides the brightness. But if you're not satisfied with it, you can choose the exposure compensation. You can choose brighter, plus or minus buttons. If you choose plus, it increases the brightness. If you choose minus, it decreases the brightness. So just brightness, making it bright and making it dark like that.
So can we
We,
adjust this during while we shooting a video? Like, can we increase and decrease the brightness, or will it be constant when we started how it was? It will continue in the same way.
we can definitely change it. The last live that we did, right? The last live. So live testing, studio recording. So in that, what I did is that while I was recording the video, while I was streaming, so deliberately changed the exposure compensation. So you can start with one exposure compensation. You can see it. If you don't like it, you can increase it or you can decrease it. It's up to you. If you can change it in middle of shoot.
Okay.
Because that's all about metering mode. So metering mode decides the brightness. It controls the brightness. It decides, you know, uh, it tells the camera how the brightness control should be. And then you have focus area. Focus decides the sharpness of the frame. You have sharp images, you have dull images, right? So, so the zone in your frame where the camera looks for sharpness. So you have white focus area, that is the camera decides focal point across the whole frame. So let's say you have multiple objects in the frame, or let's say you have different objects in your frame, like your speaker is there and you have few more objects that are placed to give you good look. So in that time, the focus area, you can choose it to put it at wide mode, and it gives you a good focal across the whole frame. And then you have zone. So in zone, you can select a specific area, and your camera focuses within that specific zone only. Zone or spot, both are somewhat same. Spot, you have more flexibility. You have different types of spot, medium, large, etc. In zone, you have there are different focal points in a zone. Almost one are the same. Then you have center. So always it will try to focus on the center only. It will search at the center for the subject. And then flexible spot. In spot, you have small, medium, large. So the box that I showed earlier, right? Is it clear? This spot. So it will tell it to shoot in that specific spot only. And then you have tracking focus. So this is also a good feature. If your object is trying to move, it will continuously track your subject. And just give me 1 minute. I'm getting another call. Okay. So that's all about focus area. So your focus area will tell the camera to choose which zone in your frame to focus, and metering tells which zone in your camera in your frame to focus the brightness on, to decide the brightness on. So that's these both. So which one should we use, right? So for metering mode, I think I chose center, and for focus area, I chose flexible spot, medium, so that we can specifically track our subject. Okay, so and then we have FN button, function button. Let me see. I'll show it to you. FN button. So it gives you all the shortcut settings. In FX30, you have this FN button here. So this, when you click that FN, it will show all this is the exact setting that we have. When you click FN, it will show you all the shortcut settings during the shoot or whenever, right? Let's say you have these 10 settings that you will always change to get the best shot. So you can pull in all those settings and you can keep it together so that you can quickly change it without going to the menu button. So that is about the FN button. And we have playback button. So here you are seeing this video button, right? So this is the playback button. When you click it, you will be able to see the previous images and previous videos that you shot. And ISO. So there are different types of ISO again. So you have auto ISO, manual, range, and dual. So dual base ISO is the feature of FX30. So what's an auto ISO? You let the camera decide what should be the ideal ISO for you. Again, what is ISO? ISO is the artificial lighting that is given by the
Yeah.
camera. It's a digital light. So manual ISO, you will decide how much should be the ISO. So if you are very specific about your use case, you'll always put the ISO to minimum in general, because if you increase ISO along with more light, it will bring more noise or grain.
Yes. Mm.
And ISO range limit, you will fix the minimum and maximum ISO limits within the frame. Let's say that you want you will change your ISO from low to high in between the shoot for some use case. For example, you are going into a tunnel and coming out of a tunnel. So when you go inside, you might have to bump it a bit, and then when you come out, you have to bring it back. So again, you mid shoot you cannot focus on the numbers of ISO. You'll set a min max. You'll always tune into max, tune into min. You'll keep safe limits for yourself. And then you have dual base ISO. So what this dual base is, so here you're seeing base ISO, right? So you can set two ISO levels, okay, just two ISO levels. Usually what we do is we put them at two low levels. You usually put 125 and the other at 800. So we call this as a native ISO or base native ISOs. So both are comparatively low, but if your scene gets a bit dark, not even dark actually, even in regular shoots, usually we start at 120, and if people say that the image is looking slightly dark, then we can switch the ISO to other native, which is 800, so that noise won't be there much, and you will get decent image with increased brightness. So that is dual base. Usually for all the cameras, we have a single base ISO. It'll always you'll always shoot at fixed ISO. But in dual base, you'll be able to shoot both. Not both at the same time. It will let you switch between one ISO and other ISO between shoot whenever you want.
Got it.
So yeah, auto, camera chooses it. Manual, you choose it. Range, you said it's semi-auto. You can choose from this range to that range. Dual base, special low noise advantage in log. So what's the log is nothing. How do I say? So I'll tell you what log recording is. Log recording is it doesn't have bright colors in the video in its raw form. So it's same like your raw photo that you might have seen multiple times, right? Just like how you have raw photos, it's like raw video is called log. It has huge dynamic range. So you'll have to tune that, the gamma curve and all the other things to get the desired photo that you want. It will try to capture a maximum number of lighting that it can from the environment, but it will look raw. So it's a flat image, flat video. So yeah, so that's dual base. It has advantage in logs, but even in regular shoots, if you want to switch between them, you can have two. to base ISOs. And then we'll speak about different file formats. So XAVC is something that you'll see as common in all the video formats, extended advanced video coding settings. So XAVCS, XAVCHS. So HS has better compression, and it has, of course, better quality also compared to S. So S gives you efficient and smaller files, and it's storage friendly. And if you're traveling somewhere, then you can choose this. HS gives better compression. Actually, it gives better quality also. So we are choosing XAVC HS. It gives good compression along with good quality. And you have XAVC S1. S1 is when you're taking a video, it will try to encode every single frame that is present in the video. If you're shooting in 24 FPS, it will try to encode every single image individually so that you will get highest quality possible. You can do color grading also in best possible way. It's for professional editors, but the size will be too much, like extremely too much. So as an example, right? So all these, of course, again come under MP4 format only. Now XAVC S1 4K. If you're shooting in 4K in this format, it will take 3 times more storage than your S4K. This one. So if still it's taking 90 GB in S, it will take about 270 GB in S1. So 3 times more storage. The video quality will be comparatively better, but it's not like the difference will be very huge. So balanced option would be HS. But if you don't want HS, you can choose S also. It's fine, but HS gives you better quality. So we can choose HS. And then we have record settings. There are these both are important. 10-bit, 8-bit. 10-bit gives you better colors, and 8-bit gives comparatively lesser colors. So let's look at first setting 200 M. So the bit rate is 200 Mbps, and chroma. So there is this concept is a very advanced actually, chroma sampling. I thought of covering it, but it will be too much for our tutorial, so I'm skipping this part. So this chroma sampling is a concept wherein it will try to fill in more colors with less storage. So that's the concept of chroma. And bit depth, 10-bit, 8-bit. 10-bit gives you better colors. Okay. And file size, of course, higher bit rate will have a higher bit rate and bit depth will give larger file size. So it's professional, professional use cases, grading, etc. We can use that. If you are taking a quick casual shoots, you can go ahead with 8-bit also. We are choosing 10-bit for best quality. So higher bit rate is more data captured per second because we are shooting videos, right? So if your bit rate is high, bit actually it's not about the data that's entering it. So it's like you if you have 200 Mbps, this rate of capturing the scene increases so that it will capture it even efficiently. So if you have more bit rate, it will capture more data per second. So the quality will be more. So I mean, let's take 1 second. So 1 second you have 24 frames. But 24 frames, if it has 200 M, right? 200 Mbps with this speed, the data gets encoded and it gets saved. So higher bit rate, higher quality. Chroma subsampling is a process of encoding color information at a lower resolution than brightness. So each frame retains accurate and smooth color while reducing file size. So as I told, right, it tries to fit in huge color gamut into lower file size so that it gives you bright colors in less size. And bit depth, so this decides the levels of color that can be represented. So 8-bit has 2 power 8 levels per channel, and 2 power 10 has 1 or 2. So the range of colors that you have, that also increases. So that is bit depth. So what are we using? We are choosing the first one, 200 M and 422 chroma with 10-bit recording, 10-bit bit depth. So it gives you the best record settings. And Yeah, one more thing. If you change FPS, these settings will change. You may not see 422 in 24 FPS, or if you see it here, you may not see it in 48 FPS. So depending on the FPS, the available options will also change. But no matter which FPS we choose, you can always choose the best quality. But our FPS is always fixed. We will always choose 24 FPS only. So for that reason, we will always be choosing this record setting. And you have anti-flickering. So there is a setting in FX30. It lets you, so you can go to shooting in menu, you can go to menu one and then you can click on shooting. And in shooting, you have shutter or client, and then you have anti-flicker setting. You have variable shutter, then you can make it on. So what happens is that you can dial the shutter button and adjust it with respect to the light that's present in the environment, which is causing the flicker. So this flicker happens when the uh, rate at which the light is emitting, right? So if there is difference between lights, usually the low quality lights will give you the flickering effect. So but if you think that this is the light that you need for sure, if it's a practical light in your frame, then you can only variable shutter on, and you can change the shutter in accordance with the light where the flickering stops. So in this way, we can control the flickering that we see, in while shooting in case we encounter any. And then these are different types of focuses.
So
In
variable shutter is something which we use or which we not use.
variable shutter, see, it's like, uh, if you are shooting in movie mode, then shutter speed is left to us. So you can change the shutter speed. Uh, and usually what happens is even in movie mode, what all settings do we have fixed? The aperture is fixed, aperture is at 4, the FPS is fixed, it's at
Mm,
24. So the
mm.
shutter is also fixed, usually it's at 48, right? 1 by 48. So
Okay.
with all these fixed, even though if it's variable or not, we will not touch it, because if you change the shutter, it will, give you that, there is this rolling effect. It's called as rolling effect. It makes things floating if you change it,
Okay. Okay.
too
Okay.
much. So what we do usually is that only when there is a light in your environment and that light is causing flickering, it is continuously flickering. That the actual light won't flicker, but when you're trying to shoot in your camera, so it flickers in your camera. So in order to avoid that, you will tune in the shutter speed to match the light of the environment so that this flickering stops.
Okay.
So again, coming to your question, right? Should we use it or should we not use it? So if there is a light in your environment and if it's flickering, it's causing flickering, then you either remove the light from the environment, or if you want the light for sure there, then you can turn this anti-flicker and you can adjust the shutter speed to remove
Okay.
the flickering.
Okay.
And focus, these modes we covered, right? Focus and autofocus, continuous focus, etc. We'll cover these
And
both.
one more thing, the same thing you have told about flickering, I mean floating kind of effect when we do not use a tripod, no? Uh, Somewhere before this, like at
So
an
when that will happen when you choose stabilization, when you already have a stabilizer. For
uh,
example, so a tripod is a stabilizer, gimbal is a stabilizer. So if you on inbuilt stabilization, when you already have a stabilizer, it will cause this floating effect.
got it, got it.
But these both are different again, floating
Yeah.
effects also. So in focus settings, you have autofocus transition speed. So it has a slow, it has medium, it has fast. So what this autofocus transition speed is that you changed your focus wantedly from one subject to other subject. Now, how fast should this transition be? So subject one, subject two are there. If you let's say we are focused on subject one, now immediately you switched your focus to subject two, by this touch that you have. Then if it should it change immediately or should it change slowly? So if it changes slowly, it looks cinematic. Okay, I'll show you this one in session one, session three, I think. Rack focus, if you remember. This focus, right? So moving away from one subject to other subject. So when I'm trying to move it from him to him, if I move it quickly, it doesn't look good. If I move slowly, right, it gives the cinematic feel.
Mm.
So that is the transition speed, autofocus transition speed. And then you have autofocus subject shift sensitivity. So of course, what autofocus does, it decides what should be the subject, right? So now you kept autofocus on and you selected your subject as a human being. So it in autofocus settings, it will ask you, is the subject a person, or is it an animal, or is it a bird, like that? Sorry, subject, bird, and object. Sorry, subject is person, or is it bird, or is it object? So it gives you three options. Let's say you chose a person, so it searches for a human being in the video or the frame.
Okay.
Now if you're person, right, if you're a human being, if he puts a book in front of his camera, now his face is lost. Now the camera doesn't understand what to do. Now immediately if someone else comes into the frame, right, it will try to detect that one who is coming into the frame. So this is subject shift. It is time to shift the subject. Subject shift sensitivity. If it stays logged on, it stays on the original subject for longer time. If it's responsive, if it will immediately switch the subject to a new subject when there is
Okay.
some issue with the current subject. So I'll tell you which should we use. So of course, auto speed transition, we should always keep it slow. And one more thing is that we will never switch the focus from Swami, right? So it's
Mm.
always slow. So I mean, slow or fast, again, we will not switch only, so it's not even our concern. So our focus should be on subject shift sensitivity.
Mm.
So we should set this to lockdown levels and
Locked
not
on.
responsive. So that if Swami moves somewhere here and there, by mistake, if the camera loses him out of the focus, and if he comes back in, it should immediately lock him. Let's say it
Mm.
loses focus, immediately someone comes into the frame. If someone is walking or some object came, it will not immediately identify that object as person or object. So immediately first it
Yeah.
will switch, it will try to detect, and then it will understand.
Mm.
So if we keep it logged on, so it's a safe setting for us. Even if it loses, it will again log back again quickly before the focus changes.
Mm.
And then we have focus area customizations. So these are different focus area customizations. Of course, we looked at focus area earlier. So that is this focus area, wide, zone, center, spot, etc. We covered these earlier. And focus area limit. So what this limit is, it gives you, I'll show you to you. So what this does is it'll ask you, which all focus area settings you want and which all you don't want, so that it will remove, this is it. So it gives you this something like this. It will let you, I mean, how many are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 are there. Maybe if you want to
Mm.
switch between only four of them, you can choose only four and click OK. And your quick settings, in your quick settings, you will see only these four. From here, so from looking like this, you
Mm.
can make it look like this, for example, for
Okay.
for quick settings. So that is limiting your area options. And then focus area color. So whenever you're trying to focus on something, right? See here. Here the boxes, they are red. So you can
Mm.
make this yellow or you can make this white. So that is focus area color, the box color.
Mm.
And then you have circle focus point. So what this happens is that here let's choose this girl. So here you have a box, right? This is called spot. So this is not spot. This is actually grid or zone. But let's say because it has these different box. Let's say there is only one box and that box is on her face. Now let's say you are moving it to the right side. Let's say you went to complete right, and if you move it even further to the right, it will come from the left. Okay, again go to the right, it will come from left. It's like a circle. So that is
Okay.
this circle focus point. So if you move past your edge, it will come from the other edge. So it's like a circle. And then you have autofocus frame move amount. I'll tell you what this is. So this box is moving from one point to other point. It's moving like this, right? So if you keep it at this speed high, it will move very fast, like immediately it will move. If you keep it slow, it will slowly move. So that is this autofocus frame move amount. So it is small is precision, precision, precise, slow movements. Large is if you're doing some action movie, right? Action shoots, you should switch very fastly.
Mm.
Then you choose this. So area is where you focus. This one, focus area. Where do you want to focus? Limit is you'll simplify your choices. You'll keep only what you want. Color, it's your visibility, right? You want to choose yellow box or red box, white box, etc. If it's Darker scene, you choose yellow or red. If you are shooting outdoors, you already have brightness. So white, you cannot even understand where the focus is. So you choose, red, somewhat like that. In dark, you can choose white. See, a circle is a circle. You'll just wrap the box around. From left, it goes to right. Top, it goes to bottom. Move amount, it's to control your speed or precision. We can keep it medium or slow because our subject usually won't change. So we can keep it small. And then you have peaking display. We already covered this peaking display earlier, some time back. So it just highlight. I mean, peaking display again. Peaking display is an honor of button. So you can on it or you can off it. Peaking level tells you the sharpness of your images. If you remember, I showed you the image of some
Yes,
palace
yes.
or something, right? So yeah, so that's here. That's the peaking level that we discussed. And peaking color, you can decide you want to keep it red or yellow or white, whatever color you want. So that is peaking color. And again, this is used to assist. It's a focus assist. It will tell you if your focus is correct or not. In autofocus, you don't have it. Only in manual focus we have it. We will never use manual
Mm,
focus.
mm.
Hmm. Tips for practical use. Enable peaking display before starting manual focus. Turn peaking level to medium. Initially, you can keep it to medium, and then maybe you can control your focus to get to your ideal focal setting. And then you should choose the color according to your visibility of the edges, depending on the scene that you are in. And you can combine with manual focus ring for smoother cinematic focus pulls. You have focus, these you can you choose your focal ring in accordance with the peaking level so that you slowly tune the focal ring and slowly you will be adjusting this peaking level and you'll at some point you'll arrive at what you might want. And yeah, we don't need any of these actually. Yeah, and then setup. So this is about touch actually, yeah, because our camera is touchscreen camera. So in setup, you can go to touch operation, touch functions in shooting, and you have these different modes: touch focus, tracking, shutter off. So what is touch focus? So if you let's say there are two subjects in the frame. If you tap at one person's face, it will focus on that person. If you tap on the other person's face, it will focus on that person, the other person. And then you have touch tracking. So if you enable touch tracking, then if your subject is slightly moving here and there, then it will still try to keep them in focus, without manually adjusting the focus. Because let's say Swami is moving left and right somewhat, right? Then you cannot predict his moves and you cannot manually shift the focus. That's not possible, right? So touch tracking is enabled by default. That is what autofocus does anyway. So we will choose in autofocus continuous mode. So by default, when you select a subject, it will do the touch tracking for us. And then you have touch shutter. So if you're, let's say you're trying to shoot photos. So if you touch on your screen, it will click a photo for us. That's it. And then you have off. What will happen when you do off? The touch screen functionality will go off. You only have to press buttons.
So we will be using touch tracking
Yes, correct. No.
or
Yes, I mean, so it's like touchscreen, yes or no? Yes, we will use touchscreen. Touch tracking is enabled by default. Touch focus is enabled by default. Touch shutter is also enabled by default.
okay.
So if you say touch as on, all these will be enabled.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, see, touch focus, right? When you
Mm,
click on an object, you expect it to keep only that object in focus. So of course, it must track the object also, slight movements. So
mm.
if you have touch focus, obviously in autofocus, it should enable touch tracking also. And of these both are anyway expected. So the touch shutter is nothing. If you click on the uh, you know screen, it will just click a quick image. That's it. Photo it will click.
So for
So all
videos we'll be using it or it is not relevant to videos?
in videos, it's not relevant because what happens when you're shooting a video, if you click on the screen, it will try to switch the focus to the object whichever you're trying to click. So in video, it's not relevant. Only in images, it's relevant.
Okay.
Yeah. And setup, a monitor. So if you are shooting outdoors, you should increase the brightness of your screen, and you should always keep your display quality as high. And then you also have gamma display assist. In case you're shooting in log, that is, if you're shooting high dynamic range with, in that case, you'll have to, it's like a raw video. In raw videos, if you on this, it will give you better understanding of the brightness or the colors that you're trying to shoot. And then you go to setup, you should clean the sensor. So sensor cleaning is an option that you have. When you click on that, right? So it will immediately clean the sensor. It will vibrate the lens for five to for 6 to 7 seconds. No need to worry. It is just cleaning the sensor. We should use it. You should do this, once in a while. And then version of camera and lens. So in setup, if you go to setup options here, you will see what is the name of your camera, what's the name of your lens, etc. And then there is another setting, lens compensation. So there are multiple settings in lens compensation. Like go to shooting, image quality, lens compensation, and there are many options. You should always put them in auto or on mode. So it will make the videos and images look better. Yeah, so that's it about the settings of FX30. Most of them are covered by the video that I shared. I looked at that only. And of course, I looked at many more resources to understand few things. And I tried to document them in the tabular form that we saw. Yeah. So do
Yeah.
you have any more questions in regard?
No, no, no. It is very good. Like I got the like summary of it.
Okay, great. Okay, stop.